My name is Ryan Tagg. I'll do a quick introduction of who I am, and then we'll get right into it, okay? So my name is Ryan, like I said. I've been with the company about 5 years now. I started off as an inside sales rep. Then I moved into an outside sales position, and then recently, just the beginning of this year, got promoted to sales manager. Um, some of the other things I do with the organization are put on fun events. We've done quite a few. Donuts for Dogs was a hot dog eating competition we did. We also did donuts for dogs. You're probably noticing a theme where a lot of them have to do with eating stuff. But more importantly, we like to focus on our community and engaging with our clients. We consider our clients our partners, and I always hope, and I know Sharon's reached out to me in the past, but one thing I tried to emphasize to Sharon when we first met is if you ever feel frustrated or you ever need help with anything, please reach out to me. You know, I may not always reach out at the right time when you need something, and that's why I want all of our clients to feel like they can proactively connect with us and get the support that they want and need. So Sharon from Clean Care is actually one of our guests today. You can come on up if you want, Sharon, and we're also going to have Nicole Lightfoot, who's currently leading the charge and supporting her. You are first. I didn't do a good job preparing anyone for this, so. Here you go. I'll pass you mine. Sure. Here you go. Thanks. Well, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for joining us today and being a client for so long. We talked about this beforehand. Neither Sharon or I could remember when she actually became a client. And when was it again, Sharon? 2005. 2005. That is a long time to be a client at DP. We actually started in 2002. So we appreciate your support and loyalty to Dominion Payroll. And I guess my first question for you is what is Clean Care? How does it get started? And, what did you do to build it up to what it is today?
Yes, thank you, Ryan and Nicole, for having me, and everybody else at Dominion. Can you hear me okay? Okay. And everybody else at DPS. I started my company about 37 years ago. It's been doing it 37 years ago. I started in residential. I did that for 17 years, but my goal was to get into the government sector. So right now, that's where we are. We're in the government sector, in the medical sector, facilities maintenance, O&M. Matter of fact, just before, while I was driving here, I was on the phone with my proposal team. We were going after a big proposal, a big contract out in Denver, Colorado, the U.S. Air Force Academy. So
Wow.
That's huge. So keep your fingers crossed for me. But anyway, yeah, I started residential, did that 17 years, and then migrated into the government sector, got my 8A certification, and then also when got into the medical field, we do medical facilities also, and continue to do government facilities, federal buildings and whatnot.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's great. And I think maybe y'all read the bio about Sharon. She started the business out of her car. But the reason they asked me, like, what does that mean? But you had a very special car when you first started the business.
Yes,
It wasn't just like,
it was a sports car. It was a Dodge Nissan 200 SX. I don't know if you have. And it was a sports car. And I went to the residential, went everywhere, and I loaded it down. And I remember one time when I went to get the tires lined or serviced, they put it on this machine to do the diagnostic or whatever. I had so much weight over the time in my car that my back tires were kind of, you couldn't see it with the naked eye, but they were kind of slanted from the weight of, because a sports car ain't supposed to do all that kind of work. It's not a working car, but I made it a working car.
I remember that still from when we met. But gosh, it was 4 years ago. I remember that story about the little sports car.
Yeah.
So obviously you've worked with Dominion Payroll for a long time now. But then over the past, what was it, about year and a half, you've been working with Nicole a lot more, and then managed services and 4 months. Wow, I was way off. 4 months. But we've been talking about it for quite a while. What are some of the things that I guess you and Nicole have been working on and kind of expanding the support with this?
What is it that we don't work on, Nicole? We do. Well, what I do want to say is what made me come to Dominion Payroll specifically, I knew I had to do something, was keeping me awake at night with those quarterlies that you had to file. And I didn't want to get in trouble with the government. I said I needed to give that responsibility to somebody else. And that was this deciding factor to say I needed to have somebody, get a vendor or support to do that for me, was to file that quarterly tax report. And now y'all do just about anything else got to do with payroll and a little bit of HR too.
Yeah, a little bit of HR too, and time and attendance. I remember helping you out with that. You have kind of a unique time and attendance setup too. Do your employees still call in
Yes,
their
we
punches?
use the iSolve, which is that's a remarkable. I can't say enough about the call in. I don't like the write in because you get ghost hours that can eat at your bottom line. So if I advise anybody, recommend entrepreneur or business owner, if they can do the call in, to do that. Don't do the writing paper thing. That's a big mistake.
And real quick, Nicole, why don't you tell us who you are, what you do at DP, and how you got started here?
I'm Nicole, and I've been here 6.5 years. Earlier today, I said it was 5.5 years, and sweet Hannah reminded me that I could not add. But prior to coming here, I worked at ADP for 8 years, but here I'm in managed services and have a select few clients that I process, with Sharon being one of them. So basically, it's payroll processing. It's like a concierge service for the few clients that we have. We do pretty much everything from A to triple Z sometimes with the clients. It's a lot of behind the scenes. It's more than just payroll. Like with Sharon, a lot of times it's stuff in swipe clock. It's I don't know, just different little adjustments. Just keeping on top of things that help the client out and that reduce things for them that they may not have time to dig into.
I like the whole automation part of it too, because like you said, I like the clock in, and I like technology, and I like to push the button and it works. I don't like to get into the troubleshooting, and that's where I come in and I call Nicole and or email. We email more than we talk. And then, and somebody else is not here too that's been really good. Ashley Smart.
Ashley,
Yeah,
she's
she's
probably
good.
watching.
Oh, okay. Hey, Ashley. Yeah, she's another one.
Yeah. She's really helpful, and with the things that I don't do behind the scenes, like there are government type things that I'm not quite aware of that Ashley is very hands-on with.
And Dave, he's over there. He helps us out with the reporting requirements with the federal government. They got more requirements and compliance than anybody could ever imagine.
I'll give it to me now. You're probably noticing a theme here, right? Sharon's mentioning people by name, and that's really what we want to do at Dominion, right? We want to support people with people. You're not just reaching out to one of 20, 30 people. And we touched on a few things that, we do a little bit above and beyond what we typically did in the past. And that's what we're talking about today is our DP Assist, DP Boost services. They're kind of outsourced. They are outsourcing solutions for businesses and people like Sharon who don't want to spend their time, working on payroll, manual entries, things like that. They get support from David and Nicole and Ashley. Ashley is the director of the program. She manages both our HR outsourcing and payroll outsourcing. What was question for you, Sharon? Why do you felt like, I kind of hopefully didn't answer for you, but why did you feel like you needed a little bit of extra help from a payroll perspective?
Well, because number one, that's not what I do. And don't want to do it. So let somebody else who knows how to do it, let them do it and do it properly and accurately, so I can spend my time on growing the business.
Yeah, exactly. And that really is the purpose of both these services, right? Free up your time so you have the ability to run the business, right? Fill up that sports car with whatever you're filling it up with and get to the next job and not worry about some of the details. Nicole, real quick, would you mind telling us about, what's been the lead up like with Clean Care in particular? What are some of the things that you struggle with? Some of the things that you feel like are going well? I know she's laughing because none of this is easy, guys, and that's kind of the point, is to help you through these things. So yeah, just let us know.
So I think mostly it's not a difficult process. I will say that you're one of my easier clients. There are a lot of questions, but a lot of times, I think what I struggle with is sometimes just what I feel like is not answering fast enough, or maybe needing time to dig into some things and get them right. Because if you're, one, you're paying for the service, two, you are growing your business. And then the third thing is like you, especially with your government contracts, things need to be as exact as possible. So like with the H&W thing that we had a couple weeks ago, that was, I'm not going to call it a struggle. I think it was just more time consuming. So I don't necessarily think that we have things that are so much of a struggle. It's just balancing the time, learning exactly, and figuring out how to fix this, how to avoid it from going, from happening again. And then maybe just asking, maybe just asking a lot of questions. Between both of us, because I know you have a lot of questions. I often have 10 questions for your one question, because we want to make sure that in servicing you, we're getting it done right the first time, or within the margin of being right, you know, because we can always improve on something that's was missed in that process.
And Sharon, from a business perspective, what would you, I mean, this doesn't necessarily have to relate to payroll, but what kind of suggestions would you have to somebody that's, starting off a business from an administrator perspective? What are some of the things you've struggled with?
Well, probably, and this is probably bad for me. That's just not what I
Ooh, I
do.
love it.
I don't like dealing. I'm gonna stop saying dealing too. I don't like the relations that I have to have with the employees sometimes, because it can be time consuming, and especially, because when they are trying to learn the system, when they're doing the application process and it's not going quite right, that's the frustrating part. Then they want to call me and tell me I can't get it to. I said, honey, I can't help you. You're talking to, so then I'm like kind of the in between person. So, and I know what Nicole or Ashley is going to ask me if the applicant is having a problem. Can you send me a screenshot? So the first thing when they said, well, this is not working, I said, send me a screenshot and I can send it somewhere and hopefully get your question answered. Yeah, but a perfect example was an applicant. She was they did deposit details. Remember that? Yeah, because she didn't know what to check off. And I looked at it, I said, well, I don't know what to tell you to check off. So I told her, send me a screenshot. And she sent me a screenshot and I got the answer she needed.
Well, that's great. I mean, that probably is a common answer, I would imagine, of business owners is, dealing with new employees, existing employees.
Yeah, I just don't. That's not what my dream or my vision is for what I do. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, and I use an example from your company a lot when I'm talking about applicant tracking. Y'all use applicant tracking, and you leave a lot of your jobs open in perpetuity too, right? Just because you can have that client flow. So while we may not be able to solve every single problem that you have with a business, you certainly can put into place services that make it a little bit easier. And then with the support of Nicole, Hannah, that we'll talk to in a second, or Ashley, we'll hopefully get you a little bit closer there so you don't have to deal with it quite as often.
I'm like a what if. I'm a what if person. I like to push the envelope because I'm always trying to figure out. I think what we're working on now that we can't get an answer for, but I think it has to do one of your partners, the Spanish thing. Why you get language thing, that's one. And then there was another one. The language thing was one that's kind of a hold up. But yeah, but what I like is because pushing the envelope, I can call Dominion Payroll Services. And like I said, I've been with Dominion Payroll Services a long time. For those of you who don't know her, Maury Whitehurst, yeah, Maury. She was my go-to person. She was my go-to person, and it is her practice. I can tell it's here in Dominion Payroll Service because I will call Maury. I need to know what I need this. I need this to do that. Maury would get to work on it and have an answer for me, and my problem is solved. So that's what I like. Even with my own staff, when I bring something to them, please don't tell me I don't know or I can't do it. At least make an attempt and say, I tried these 2 or 3 things and either it worked or it didn't. But don't tell me it's not going to work or I can't do it.
And that's so funny. So Maury, who she's referring to, is our former CFO. She was at the company, I guess, in 2002. I think Maury started right when the company was, or right around when the company was formed. So we definitely take that mentality where anybody jumps in, but it is kind of funny because Maury was really at the top of the company and still doing, everyday customer service requests. That's how dedicated she was to our clients, and particularly ones that have been with us for so long.
And even when she retired, I was still Maury. She was at a luncheon. I said, Maury, I need, because I hadn't got accustomed to the new folks yet. I was in denial. She said, Sharon, you're gonna be fine. I'm calling her. She's retired on a lunch. I said, but Maury, I need your help.
Right. And Maury's great. She really represents kind of the mentality that we have here at Dominion Payroll. Thus the donuts for dogs or whatever it is, we're all willing to jump in and help one another. Well, I want to open it up for some questions for Sharon, whether that's about her time at DP or about Clean Care or her cleaning company. Any questions from anybody? Anything? Bueller. All right. Well,
I do want to say I convinced one of my, because I partner with other companies throughout the country to do, to going after contracts. And I talked to this, another business owner, and we won this contract together, and payroll was coming up. And he said, I got to do payroll. And what he said, what he had to do, I said, well, what, you don't do your payroll out? He said, no, I do it in-house. And then not only did he do it in-house, he had different payroll periods. I said, well, you're a glutton for punishment, aren't you? So as a result of that, I sold him. So now, although, because he's in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, he went with, so now this week he has been talking with ADP.
Oh, that's terrible. You're killing me, Sharon.
Yeah, well, again, I told him who I went with, but I don't know if you guys go up there.
Oh, yeah. So we operate in all 50 states.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I didn't know.
Now I'm
at
gonna get that referral.
Well, I'll see how things are going with him, and if not, I'll let him know. You guys, because I talk about you all the time, and now he's no longer doing his payroll. He's in the process of handing that over.
Well, and that's key. We want to free up people's time to be able to run the business the way that they want. And I think our difference between, an ADP, I don't like to denigrate other people's services. We really just try to focus on the customer service aspect, right? And the people aspect. And that, if anybody else has any questions, we're going to lead into really the other big thing. Thank you so much for joining, Sharon. I think you're really like the best example of a client I've personally worked with. No shade to other clients. But you've been really just loyal, and we really appreciate your support over the years, and being able to help you more as the business grows, I think, is one of the things that we really strive to do for our clients. The other thing we try to do is engage with our community and then support our community, right? We talked about that a little bit, and with that, thank you so much, Sharon. Thank you, Nicole. And then Anne-Marie, if you wouldn't mind coming up real quick. This is my future mother-in-law right here. I'll put it on. She actually introduced me to my fiance. She's also the director of Comfort Zone Camp. Thank you again, Sharon. Emily, our new marketing director, is so amazing. One of the things she wants to do with these lunch and learns, or anytime we put an event here, is tie in an organization, nonprofit organization for donations or just awareness. One of the things we like to do here is just raise awareness about issues or products, services, whatever it is. And with that in mind, Anne-Marie's with Comfort Zone Camp. Real quick, I just want to congratulate Anne-Marie. She had the great idea of getting us involved. I say us, I guess I'm part of the organization. In what? The NASCAR, right?
Yeah, actually, I thought he was going to say, congratulations, you're going to have a great son-in-law.
Not yet. Remains to be seen, right?
There you go. And actually, I'm the National Director of Development. Our CEO founder is Lynn Hughes. So just make sure that y'all don't think that I know everything going on at camp, but I know enough. So
Well,
Yes.
you've done quite a bit. You recently won an award this past week
Yeah.
from NASCAR. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. It was a lot of fun. I don't know if you saw it or not, but it's also, as you think as for businesses, sometimes you just have to take a chance, right? You know, you have to, like something comes in your head and you're sort of like, I wonder what that's about. So I sort of was like, NASCAR, I wonder what that's about. You know, like, do they have, I know it's about, but I mean philanthropy. Like, do they do philanthropy? So I looked it up and they do this award where they choose one nonprofit that they give $100,000 to, but it's based on voting. So I applied for it. I found a volunteer that sort of like NASCAR. This isn't being recorded, right? It's,
Just to everyone.
right, exactly. So I was like, okay. So I did a quick LOI and we made it to the top 100 nonprofits. And then from there, we made it to the top 4 to go to the vote. So it was really exciting. We were able to engage the entire country on it and come up with some innovative ways to get people to vote. Because again, it's completely up to a vote. And actually, Ryan, you came up with let's have people opt in for daily reminders, which I think was really cool because it's, you know, you don't want to bug people too much. It was 3 weeks. You don't want to spam people, text them and become annoying where they don't want to hear from you anymore. But if you say, I want to hear from you every day, that's a whole other thing. So we had 460 people sign up for that to be told every single day, we're going to text you, we're going to email you, you're going to hear from us. And I really think that had a big reason because those people we kept top of mind. And so they kept telling people. You know, so I really think that was one of the big things. And before we get too much into comfort, I'm just going to put some other stuff out here. Sorry, I go off script, Ryan. You should know that by now. But we keep, we were talking about payroll again and being, business owner, which I think it's amazing to hear your story and how you started out. And but sometimes things go wrong. And I think it's really important no matter who you go with. If you go with Dominion, that's great because we use Dominion at Comfort Zone Camp. And this past year, our finance person got an email from one of our staff saying, hey, I forgot to tell you when I saw you earlier that somebody got into my checking account. And so I had to clip my account's frozen, but I need to get paid. They opened up a new account for me. These are the numbers. I'll tell you all about it tomorrow. It was awful. So they did it. And so the next day they were like, so what happened with that from? They're like, I don't know what you're talking about. It was a scam. And so we were like, because we're a nonprofit, everything matters. And Dominion Payroll was able to actually, we were able to call someone that took care of it for us right away. So those are some of the things you don't think of when you think about things being easy. Sometimes these weird things happen. And, as a nonprofit, we're not experts on that either. So we do use Dominion Payroll, but they were able to take care of that for us right away and have it reversed. So, because when you're busy and you're running a company and you're starting out or you've been doing it for a while, sometimes you just don't have the time, to really be like, is this legitimate? Let me go to this. And that's what happened with us, but it turned out great. So.
Yeah, that's funny. I remember getting a text from Lynn. He's the founder at 7 a.m. I'm freaking out. I'm like, what is this? Did I do something wrong? But that is great. That's what I want. I want that text though. And Comfort Zone Camp is an organization that helps children that have suffered loss. Typically, it's a sibling or it's a parent. They put on absolutely free camps. It's over 3 days, Friday to Sunday, for children. I've been a big buddy for 3 years now, 3 or 4 years, something like that. And really great experience if you're ever interested in volunteering. We actually host the trainings right here at DP. We've done 4 or 5 just this year. Really great experience. I could speak personally to the fact that it's really impactful to see the difference that you can make in an individual. And we thank Comfort Zone so much for that. We'll be sending out a link if you're interested in donating. Every dollar counts, to Anne Marie's point. And anything else you want to end up?
Yeah, I think it's really important to know, especially during the holiday season. Looking around, I'm sure there's some of you that have had loss or know somebody that's had loss, especially as a child, because it's in Virginia, it's 1 in 12 kids. And so every dollar helps. Every person that finds out we exist helps. So that's our thing. We always say we need volunteers, we need funding, but we also need people to know about us, because even though a kid put it some perfectly one time, he said, It sucks to be part of this club, but at least the members are cool. So, but it's important that they know they have a club where they do belong, where people aren't going to just see them as the kid with a death. Because we hear that so often from the kids that, you know, they feel like they're bringing down the room, or they feel like they're supposed to act a certain way. And this allows them to be who they are and not be labeled at an age where everybody wants to label you. So thank you. If you're willing to do any of those 3 things for us, it's what makes the difference for these kids. So thank you.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Appreciate that. Next, we have a couple of our team members, Hannah and Jenica, part of DP Assist and DP Boost, here to talk more about what these things are. Welcome. Let you get comfortable. All right. So why don't we start off with a quick introduction, who you are, how you joined DP, and a little bit about yourself. Jenica, you want to kick it off?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Jenica Watt. I joined DP in the spring, originally from the Northeast, from New Hampshire. Been down here ever since school, though. My background is in a field called supported employment, which is focused on helping adults with significant disabilities find vocational opportunities, train for those opportunities, conduct research, things like that. And through that, I kind of figured out and interacted with a lot of HR departments from small to large, and onboarding practices and training and employee relations and things like that. And it led me to kind of realize that I wanted to do that in-house somewhere, or at least consult on that. So I got my SHRM certification and came on board here to grow our small Boost HR program. And yeah, loving it so far.
Hey, thank you. And Hannah?
Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm part of DP Assist. I've been with Dominion Payroll since July of 2018. I started here right after college. Yeah.
That works.
Me.
That works. What's LV stand for? No, just kidding. You're not close. Yeah, so Hannah, you've been with the company a long time. We've been working together a long time. Tell me a little bit. So Hannah's part of our DP Assist program. Tell me a little bit in your words, what is DP Assist and what do you do within that department?
So DP Assist, I like to think of it as a white glove service. We like to tailor it to the client specifically. So anything that you need, it doesn't have to be a set list of things that we do. Like, we're going to tailor it to you. So we'll do PTO adjustments, time card analysis, payroll analysis, anything that you can think of to get your hands out of the service. That's where we're going to come in to assist you. DP Assist, pun on words. But yeah, so we're just trying to get your hands out of the service, let you go back to your normal daily tasks so you're not having to worry about it.
Perfect. Thank you. And Jenica, what's the difference between, I guess, what is DP Boost? First, we'll start there and we can talk about the differences.
There's lots of differences.
Lots of differences.
Yeah, I don't do any of what Hannah does really, but we do sit next to each other. So DP Boost HR handles kind of that people side of HR, and these days innovative businesses are recognize that people are the business and that they need a strong and supportive kind of HR program. You can't really bury your head in the sand anymore and think that you're not going to lose key talent or be out of compliance in a ton of different areas. So what we do is we partner with companies. We start from a kickoff meeting, introduction to the program, then we conduct a full-scale HR audit where we come up with like an executive summary, areas of improvement. We meet with you, we discuss kind of what are those top priorities for you. And then we get to work and we set up a cadence of meetings, and we just kind of start to build out all of those different things, allowing you to focus on your core business, obtaining new talent, growth, things like that. But it's a lot of compliance. Like I said, we usually start with a handbook and all those policies and kind of grow from there, because that sets the tone for how you're going to run your business. We do onboarding, job descriptions, offer letters, employee relations questions, just kind of a variety of offerings.
Yeah, and you touched on a few things of what makes HR important, but in your words, why is having some sort of streamlined HR important for a business?
I mean, expectations and clarity are how you're going to run a successful business. If your employees don't know what's going on and you don't know what's going on, there's going to be that disconnect there. And you're, like I said, you're going to lose key talent. You're going to have gaps. You're not going to be able to support if you're a client-based focused business or kind of just your core business. But it's also really easy to find yourself in a place where you've either grown really quickly or you've never really had that structure in place, or you didn't have a true HR department or HR representative, and you can find yourself overwhelmed with how do you put that in place? What are the compliance considerations, and how do we start to rectify those issues? So there's a lot.
Yeah, and it sounds, based on both of the things that y'all said, that every business is a little bit unique. Some of the issues that they face, some of the operational requirements that they have are a little bit different. How do you both go about identifying how to service a client, considering they're all a little bit unique?
So for DP Assist, we really start with meeting with the client, learning their payroll process, learning the in and out of their company. So that way, we learning how they work, and over the next few months, we're looking at how can we streamline their processes? How do we feel like they're working? So we're really focusing on shadowing with the company first, just to make sure we know how they're working, because again, every client is different, and that's how we figure out how we need to service the client and what we need to do to help streamline them.
Yeah, somewhat similar. I know I mentioned it earlier. We start off with a kickoff meeting. We do that full-scale audit. But we also meet regularly with our clients. So we have regularly scheduled meetings, but then we also are in contact all the time. I know Nicole or Sharon mentioned screenshots. But yeah, it's a very, very collaborative process with our clients. We have myself and Ashley Smart, who you mentioned earlier, and we're a two-person team, but we both have hands in everything. But we navigate a lot of issues that arise with clients. So some things that we've helped clients with, a local Richmond client reached out to us about harassment claims and potential for EEOC violations and things like that. So we conducted and analyzed interviews for employees at all levels, presented the findings, helped them to avoid all of the fees, because it was shown that there was at least one employee that was ready to go to the EEOC, and an out-of-court settlement for the EEOC claims are like $40,000. So saving those, yeah. So that was an example of just kind of like one of the ways where, outside of the normal scope of things, we offer trainings, we offer we talk about strategy, things like that, but that was one that was kind of out of the blue, and we just dove right in and kind of got it all settled. We also conducted harassment training afterwards for employees and managers, and then there were certificates for each. We housed those within iSolved, kind of that integration with the electronic usage and the platform, and that kind of day-to-day interaction with the employees.
And Hannah, are there any unique examples of how you've helped a client that you weren't really expecting or surprised you?
I know some clients are larger that we assist, and one thing is really hard is merit increases when it comes to performance reviews. They don't have structures in place on how to do the calculations, or it's taking too long to do the calculations. One of the things that I've done in the past is a 500 plus client. I've gone through and done all the merit increases, all the back pay, like the retro pay for them, because they go in March. So I go all the way back to January. That way they're hands off. It's something that they haven't really done. They don't have procedures. I take it over. I create the procedures. I give them, a step-by-step guide on how to do it for the future. Of course, we can always do them for them in the future, but that way they know how to do it in the future, but I took it off their hands and helped them in a situation where they didn't know.
Yeah, and I don't know if you're picking this up about Hannah in particular when you're talking about payroll, very detail-oriented person. Whenever I've worked with Hannah, it's just very impressive. Jenica too. Sometimes my mind goes blank when they're saying things, but I should know more about it. But they're clearly experts at what they do. And with that, I would like to open it up for some questions if anybody has any about the service. Hopefully you can see that it does tend to be flexible with the company. And I've said this before, hopefully we're all on the same page, but I always say, what don't you want to do, whether that's with HR or payroll. We're not able to do everything, but it will be a conversation, and you can hopefully tell from the two of them that they've had that conversation before and helped clients in some unexpected ways.
Yeah, I think when we're talking about key clients that would be great to work with Boost, I think it's people who either haven't had the budget to have an HR department, have had an HR department of one, or some manager or owner trying to fill the role. Somebody who doesn't have a handbook or hasn't had it reviewed in a long time, somebody who's struggling with their onboarding process, or that kind of performance management, really anything, or companies that have grown a lot. We see that with a lot of our clients these days. They're expanding across states and struggle to keep up with that compliance consideration, or they're growing in size and they're about to hit some of those thresholds that would catapult you into different things like ADA and things like that. So yeah, I think those would be the top candidates for Boost HR.
And what about for DP Assist? What have you found for the clients that benefit most from it?
I would say most clients that benefit are people that have a lot of turnover or a lot of transition within leadership, especially with that HR position or a payroll administration. Clients that are growing very large, clients that don't have structure process, so we can give them a structure process and streamline things to make it a lot easier.
Great, thank you. And hopefully you could tell with working with Sharon in the past, we've grown and tried to tailor the solution really to what her business needs, and it's the same thing with these two solutions. So I'll open up for questions, whether that's virtually too. Marketing, if you wouldn't mind letting me know if any questions come through, but any questions from the audience? Sure. So the question is, how long does the startup take between beginning and getting live? Yeah.
Boost is pretty quick. It's kind of whenever we can get that kickoff meeting and audit started. But it does have to do with kind of your start date with sales and with implementation, everything like that. So it is tied together, but for us in our specific service, if you're already an existing client or you're already going through that implementation process, it can start very quickly.
And for DP Assist, I would ballpark a month, and the only reason I'm saying that is because we're going to want to shadow you at least 2 payroll runs. So if you're weekly, then we can get that started up on the 3rd payroll. But if you're bi-weekly or semi-monthly, it's going to be at least a month. But we can get that rocking and rolling as soon as you want.
Yeah, and I've seen, particularly like Hannah's team start helping right away. There's a difference between when we're actually running and everything's going really super well, exactly how we expected it, and then but that's not to say that we won't start helping right away. Any other questions? All right. Well, again, these two services in particular to highlight, DP Boost, DP Assist, as you start looking into 2024, different ways to make your business run more efficiently, different ways to take things off your plate so that you can free up time to do other projects that you might be interested in. I know one example, I worked with a client that had someone doing payroll entries, and they've been with the company for 25 years, and they're spending time entering commissions and bonuses, and there's a lot of other projects that they could have been working on, so they were able to free up quite a bit of time to move on to expanding the business and really growing it in an effective way. Again, my name is Ryan. We have Hannah and Jenica, and thank you so much, Sharon, for joining. We really appreciate your support over the years, and Anne Marie with Comfort Zone Camp. If you have a chance to check out that organization for training opportunities or donations, we'd really appreciate it. And if anybody ever needs help with anything, please reach out to anyone at Dominion Payroll, myself included, okay? We have Gelati Celesti right over here, another client of ours. We love them. So grab some ice cream, grab some Chick-fil-A if you haven't yet, and feel free to reach out to our customer service team. They'll be in the back if you have any questions for clients, okay? Thanks so much.